Hey, it's Don. Welcome back to Dark Souls for Millennial Dads. Just double check I am recording. Excellent. Right, where are we today? So, we made it through the tutorial. Now we're in the first area of the game, Firelink Shrine. This is something of a hub area. We learned at the end of last episode that we can level up at the bonfires, which we'll do in a minute. For the time being, we're going to explain what happens at Firelink Shrine. It's one of the few areas of the game that has its own music, naturally, which is nice. It's very relaxing music. You'll learn to love this one. There's no enemies here at the moment. At the top of that hill, we can see a couple of dudes. There's at least 5 or 6 of them up there. And then over here, which we might be able to see past through that door there, is a graveyard full of skeletons. Skeletons will make very light work of us at the moment, because they're generally fairly tough as is. They've got weapons that cause bleed. We don't have a lot of health, and if their bleed weapons catch us enough, we will just die straight away. So yeah, this is a bit of a hub area. There's a load of free gear around here that we can have. First off, let's upgrade. Now, what we're going to have a quick look at is the menu here. We've got a bunch of things. One of the quirks of Dark Souls, if you will, is very strict on what buttons do what. So while it says up and down on the D-pad to select, if I move the stick, it does nothing. And you'll notice this hasn't paused the game either. Just like going into the menu doesn't pause the game, this doesn't pause the game. Not a huge problem. You don't generally see any problems getting invaded while you're at bonfires, but it can happen. You also can't use a bonfire while you are invaded, and that's where another player will come into your world and try and hunt you down and kill you and take your souls, which is super fun, and it's entertaining. It's not going to happen on this one because we're playing in offline mode, which means we won't get some of the other quirks of the game as well, which is a bit of a shame. But my internet's a little choppy at the moment, and I just didn't fancy it. So we've got a couple of options here. We can leave, we can level up, we can attune our magic, we can kindle, and we can reverse hollowing. Both of these require humanity, which is the double zeros at the top left of the screen near our health and stamina. At the moment we've got no humanity, so we won't be able to reverse hollowing, and we can't kindle while we're hollowed, so that's not going to happen. As well as that, we don't have the right of kindling, which is an item you pick up later in the game that allows you to kindle the bonfires further. So what you can do at the moment is kindle a bonfire to +1, I think, which will allow you to fill up 10 Estus flasks rather than 5. This one's already at +1, so if we reversed our Halloween and tried to kindle the bonfire, it wouldn't let us because we didn't know it. And that's a great way to waste 2 or 3 humanity if you don't know how you're playing the game, because hollowing and kindling is not explained, and that's a bit of a I don't know if it's a misstep on their part or whether it's just part of the game being a little bit obtuse, or part of like the learning portion of the game. But humanity is a little bit of a precious resource if you're not fantastic at the game. I'm not fantastic at the game, so I don't tend to waste it as much as I can, and if you're new to the game you'll just end up wasting 2 or 3 of them just trying to kindle the bonfire. It's a pain in the ass. If we go to attune magic, we can see we've got 2 slots. We started as a pyromancer, we've got room to put another spell on. We don't have another spell, so we're not going to be able to do anything just yet, but that'll come in handy way later when we might want to have 1 or 2 spells on. We are going to run the pyromancer build all the way through, but we're probably not going to lean on the pyromancy that much. We're going to be leaning on the combat for the most part. The pyromancy will be there to supplement that rather than be the main main angle of attack for us. You'll see that this has 8 uses. That's 8 uses until we set up bonfire. So whilst they're temporarily a limited item, they are a limited item when we're not sitting at bonfires. So, why did you get up? You should be sitting down. Let's level up. So we're going to run this as generally a strength build. We're going to need some vitality, that's our health. So if we have a quick look, we're at soul level 1. This is how many souls we've got, and this is how many we need to move up our next level. And then this tells us the very basics of each of these stats. So vitality determines your HP, among other things. Attunement determines how many attunement slots you've got. Now 12 attunement doesn't mean you've got 12 slots. You've got different levels at which you get another attunement slot. So if you're running a mage character or a character that can do magic, you're going to need to invest quite heavily in that if you want to run more than 1 or 2 spells. Endurance affects your stamina, your equipment load, and your bleed resistance, among other things. Equipment load is useful. If you look in the middle, top middle of the screen, we can see our equipment load here. 51 and 51 is our current max equipment load. The more equipped we are, the slower we'll move. There are 4 increments of movement. The first is when we've got less than 25% of our equipment load. We move very quickly, usually very quietly. The sound you make is determined by your armor, not the speed that you're moving necessarily. Between 25 and 50% of your equipment load, you move at a normal speed and you do normal rolls. The fast speed, you get fast rolls, which grants you a couple of extra iframes and they're much quicker. More than 50% your equipment load, you become slow and you start fat rolling, which I don't think you lose iframes on, but the animation takes longer, so you've still got the same amount of invisibility in that roll, but you don't come out of the roll as quickly as you would with the medium roll, so you're more vulnerable for longer. And then at the higher stages of that, I think it's once you're at equipment load or higher, then you can't roll at all and you can't run, which is difficult. Strength tells us how it's the parameter required to wield strength-based weapons, and it also boosts the attack of strength-based weapons. Most weapons have a scaling option, so some of them will scale better with strength than others. So if you've got one that scales well with strength, then you end up kind of doubling your returns on that by using well-scaled weapons. Dexterity is kind of the opposite of strength. It's kind of nimbleness. You get some weapons that require quite high dexterity. They generally do low damage quickly, whereas strength weapons do high damage slowly. I prefer a strength build. I think it's a little easier to do one powerful hit than a lot of little hits. Resistance is a joke stat, and you don't need to level that one at all. Don't do it. Don't waste your souls. Everything that you do will give you a little bit more resistance, and resistance will just increase that, but even at maximum resistance you're not really resisting that much. Intelligence is the one you need for sorceries, so that's the normal kind of spells, what the sorcerer has. Generally quite offensive spells, with some utility spells in there. That's the stat you're going to be pumping into if you're a mage build, as strength and dex will be if you're a warrior or rogue. And faith is what you need to cast miracles, which are generally defensive or healing spells. They're a different discipline and require different catalysts to use. So if you're an intelligence user or a sorcery user, you're not necessarily a faith user. You can do both, but I don't know why you would. But today we're going to be running a strength build, and because we're a pyromancer, only our attunement is what counts towards actually making our spells more useful. Now if we see here, if we bump attunement up to 14, it'll take our attunement slots on the right up to 3. That's handy, and it might be more handy to do now that the levels are cheap because we're low level than when we get to higher levels and the levels become more expensive. So that's one thing we could invest in. We could invest in vitality. As you can see here, all of the blue numbers that change are the improvement to that. We can afford 2 or 3 levels at the moment. Each level costs the same regardless of the stat we put into it, but they cost more each time we go up a level. So 673 is what we need to move from level 1 to level 2, 690 is what we need from level 2 to level 3, 707 from level 3 to level 4. Does that make sense? Makes perfect sense. So the question is, what are we going to do? Now, we could get a lot more health, could be quite useful. We could get a fair bit more strength. We're going to be running the strength build, so that will be helpful, and it will also improve the axe. We could run a little bit extra dex because we will need some to get some of the weapons that we want to be using. And we could put money into faith or intelligence, but we're not going to. So I think what we'll do is we'll get in attunement while it's cheap, and we'll put one into our vitality, and that will be our levels for the time being. And then no fanfare on that. So we can add an extra spell, not that we're going to be able to for a while, but we got it while it was cheap, and that's the important thing. Next thing on the list is to speak to this guy. NPCs have set dialogue, and if you speak to them, they'll tell you that dialogue. If you speak to them again, they might tell you something different. And so what we want to do when we find an NPC is talk to them until their dialogue becomes the same repeated thing. To exhaust their dialogue, this guy will tell us what's going on.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
So a few interesting things there. First off, he implies that the curse of the undead legend that we heard from, is it Oscar? The lad who gave us the key. Certainly isn't a new thing to him, and he's seen plenty of us. And also that the bell that we were supposed to ring, which is in the church, I'm not sure if we can see the church from here, it's not the only bell that we need to ring. There are 2.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit. What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collect it bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity, coveting my neighbor is only human after all.
Okay. So we'll just see if he's got anything else to say.
Don't try anything.
I think he just says, don't try anything, you'll regret it.
Oh, that's... Well, one of the bells is up above in the undead church, but the lift is broken. You'll have to climb the stairs up the ruins and access the undead burn through the waterway. The other bell is back down below the undead burn, within the plague-infested Blight Town. But I'd die again before I step foot in that cesspool.
Okay, so we've got our first 2 kind of goal areas to go to. First off is the undead church, which is in the undead parish, and we can't see it from here, but he says it's up the stairs and through the waterway. And the next is somewhere called Blight Town, and from what he says, it's horrible. So now we've got an idea of where we need to go first, which is up those stairs. Let's explore around here for a bit. We've used all our souls, so we're in a relatively safe place, in that if we die, we're not really going to be losing very much. So we'll have a explore, because there's a lot of freebies around here that you could quite easily miss out on if you weren't paying attention. you'll notice that all of the items have this wispy glowing effect. And if nothing else, if you didn't talk to that guy, you can see up in the distance there are 2 of those items up there. So you can see where you are being led, and you can also make out a little door in the aqueduct there. So that would be another clue as to where to go, because at this moment it's a fairly open world. We don't have that master key that we could have got when we started, which would have opened it up even further. But for the time being, that's that. So let's go and get some items. 3 humanity, which is useful. Those are solid humanity that we'll keep in our inventory. We can use them to gain the humanity, which is those little zeros at the top. We can turn them into 1s and etc. The more humanity we have, the higher our item discovery chance becomes when we kill something. And so what we'll do is we'll have a quick run around and grab some stuff. So that was fire bombs and something else in the humanity. And then there's more here. There's a guy here who will teach us miracles. We're not going to talk to him because he's not very interesting. Maybe we will, just for the sake of argument. Let's have a look. A soul. This is the lift to the undead church that he said was broken. It is open at the bottom though. So we can fall down into a secret place with some more freebies. See here, Homeward Bones. Homeward Bones we can use to teleport to the last bonfire we used without losing our souls. They're great if you're stuck at the bottom of somewhere and need a quick way back out. Morning Star and a Talisman, which is the starting gear for the cleric. It means we could go and learn some of that, some of those faith miracles. It might not be a bad idea. We'll have a quick look and see how much faith we need. And the correct red eye orb, we'll use them if we want to invade other players. We're playing offline at the moment, so we're not going to be doing that. And then in this last one, some Lloyd's Talismans. They're also another useful online play item. They stop people healing if they're invading you or you're invading them, which is quite handy. You can also use them to stop mimic chests attacking you. It keeps them asleep. Now this is the graveyard, and those are the skeletons, but there are some items in here. We might be able to see some around the corner. There's at least a shield, the binoculars, a spear, and the very heavy sword that we're going to be looking at using for most of the playthrough, if not all of it, because we just like to pancake things. You could call it a big bonk, but it doesn't make a bonk, it makes a clank. And we're going to cheese it through these skeletons because we're not interested in tangling with any of them, as they will cut us up into little pieces. That being said, if they do, we haven't got a lot to lose because we don't have tons of souls. So we've not got actually that much to lose if we do lose it, which is great. Get rid of that winged spear notification. Lost and dead soul. Whoa. Oh, we're gonna die. Oh. Quick spam roll. Run back to the bonfire. Ooh, and there's an item through here, I remember. Fool that I am, had the pyromancy flame equipped rather than a shield, so when I went to block, there was nothing to block. I ended up fireballing instead. It's fine. Because what happens here, we can show a useful thing, because we died in a corner over here, so what we should be able to do is see our bloodstain. If we go back there and activate that glowing green bloodstain, we'll be able to reclaim all our lost souls, and you'll notice that those skeletons that were attacking us have now gone back to their original place. So the world kind of resets in terms of enemy placement. Any doors that we've opened, anything that we've unlocked, any quest progress we've made won't have undone itself. So, and also our inventory. just pressed the wrong button. Our inventory, we picked up that sword, which is here. The Morning Star and the Winged Spear are all still there. We haven't lost anything from dying. We just lost a little bit of time. But it's not like more traditional video game where we'd have to go and play through that all again. We can just leave. So we don't have to worry about any of that. So that's Firelink Shrine in a nutshell. There's a couple more points of interest that we can go to since we're still fairly low on salts. There's a lady in here called the Firekeeper. She can't speak, but what she can do is reinforce our Estus flasks. If we get a Firekeeper soul, she can make our Estus flask heal us by a greater amount. Now there is one that's a little bit of a trek. We'll go and do that first because it's free. We will die though, so we're not going to do it with loads of souls in our pouch. The souls that we're carrying is the number in the bottom right. We use the souls as a currency for leveling, like XP, and we use them as a currency for actually buying things and upgrading materials like our clothes or our weapons at a blacksmith, and we'd also use them for buying things from merchants, blacksmiths, etc. So we've come down the lift. There are a couple of things in here. These are still free. There's nothing guarding them. This is all our gear. These guys, just like the ones at the beginning of the game, non-hostile. We don't have to worry about that. If we had the master key, we'd be able to open up this gate here and go to Blighttown. That's one of the ways in. We could go there early. We're not going to go there early because Blighttown sucks in a lot of respects anyway. And here we are in the New Londo Ruins. New Londo Ruins is full of ghosts. We can't attack ghosts in our current form. We need either an enchanted weapon or we need to be cursed. We're going to avoid being cursed if we can. This guy is a blacksmith.
It's safe here. Although, how about I'll show you.
So he can reinforce our weapons and he can reinforce our armor. Generally, you wouldn't bother reinforcing armor. It doesn't make that much of a difference. You can do if you want to, but I don't. Reinforcing weapons makes a big difference. As you can see, we need something at the top right of this little dialogue box. It tells us we need 200 salts, which we've got, and we also need a titanite shard that we don't have. I wonder if you've got a titanite shard. Let's have a look. He doesn't. He only sells soul arrows and a sorcerer's catalyst.
Come back soon. Smithing helps soothe my nerves.
This area is kind of bleak, kind of depressing, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not a problem. We'll take that. An S-stock. That's a dex-based weapon. So if we had high dexterity, that would help. You can see in here, there's a corpse in the jar. If we roll it into the jar, it will do a small amount of damage to the jar. And we'll see what that corpse is holding. Transient Curse, which is great. That's an item that if we use it, we can attack ghosts for a limited period of time. We're not into attacking ghosts at the moment. We're only here for what's in this little place. Now, the water will kill us if we go into it, if it gets above our waist. So we've got to be kind of careful about where we tread. Where are we going? Where are we going? Oh, there we go. Just trying to kill us. So there's a little walkway here. You might be able to see it against the black. There it goes. Oh shit! Ah! First death. Second death. Second death. Okay. We'll respawn back up here. It's not a problem. We weren't losing very much anyway. We need to go and get into that little room, because that's got the Firekeeper soul that we want to upgrade our Estus flask with. And other than running there, we don't really have to work for it. need to remember to pull the lift back up. So if we fall down there, it will kill us. Back down here, the music stops. And once we've got the Firekeeper soul, we'll probably just die. And that's fine. Because, like I said, when we die, we keep our inventory. So we can go on these loot runs, getting up wherever we need to, picking up whatever we need from wherever we want. There's very little in the way of consequence. If we start with nothing, we can leave with nothing. The only thing that we should worry about is if we've got humanity. If we've got humanity kind of on us as a white number, then we will lose that. If we're human, we'll lose our humanity. But there we go, Firekeeper soul. And look, a load of ghosts. Go on then, ladies. Let's have a look. That's fine. That's fine. It's not a problem. Not a problem. Okay. So we'll come down here. We'll speak to the Firekeeper. Now, at the bottom of the screen in our items, we can see Estus Flask is normal. And if we reinforce Estus Flask with this Firekeeper soul, now we're Estus Flask +1. And that'll heal us all the way now, when we've got such little health. It's not a problem. Next off, let's talk to this cleric up here and see if he will sell us a healing miracle, and if it's worth us getting. It may not be worth us getting.
Hello, I am Petra. If not,
He asks us to go away, and he's not interested in speaking to us.
I read, but I am here. No,
Here,
good.
have a coin. Don't worry about it.
Oh my.
And we'll just keep
I
pestering
am
him
so
until he agrees to sell us stuff.
Very well.
We'll join his covenant. The covenants mean very little for the most part, except for when you're playing online.
Only
They might match you with different people, and or they might give you certain items for being able to be summoned by players. So what do we need on this one? We need a faith of 12. That's that little sparkly number. So where it says heal at the bottom, it says that our intelligence needs to be 0 for that, or better, and our faith, which is the star, needs to be 12 or better. We get 5 uses of it. The required souls to purchase that is 4,000. We don't have
come
that.
again. The effectiveness.
That's not a problem. So we know that. Now, what is our current faith? I think it was 8. So let's have a quick look. So faith with the little star is 8. So we could level that out 4 times and get the healing spell. Might be quite useful to us. It also costs another 4,000 souls on top of that, so it probably costs us about 8,000 souls in total at the moment to get to. May not be that helpful to us. Might be able to spend 8,000 souls in a better way. So, onto the humanoid undead. Paying attention to how they move. Not paying that much attention, eh? If we're on roughly the same level of them, and we go behind them and we're not blocking, we can do what's called a backstab, which is an extra strength attack. Let's heal up for the sake of argument, since we're down to half health. This guy's a little more heavily armoured. He's got a shield. We can probably parry him. Oh. Definitely get behind him. So one of the things we're doing here as well is we're locking onto these guys. So I'm pressing in with the right stick, and that's focusing us on these guys, and it makes it easier to walk behind them. I'll notice that when we're blocking, our stamina regenerates slower. We also lose stamina to the block. Oh, we died up here. What a noob. It's me getting distracted. We'll come back up here, get our souls, and then be on our merry way. And that will have been another 30 minutes. So we got all the gear from here. That's excellent news. Don't need to worry about Firelink Shrine anymore, except as a hub. Okay. So at the moment it takes about 3 axe hits to kill them, or 1 in the back. We want the shiny thing over here. I'm going to get behind this guy yet. Just everything being mobile is the best way to get out of being damaged, he says. Got the battle axe from this guy. I wonder if we've got the strength to wield it. Let's have a look. So, battle axe, if we press X on this, it'll tell us all of the different things. So the hand axe does physical 80, which we know. And the parameter bonus, where it says param bonus, C for strength and D for dexterity. So as we improve strength and dexterity, we'll get bonus damage on top of that. And the required parameters on the right hand side are 8 dexterity and 8 strength. So a fairly middling early one. This one has a strength requirement of 12 and a dexterity requirement of 8, and that's to wield it one-handed. We haven't looked at two-handed yet, but that's something we can do. It does 95 damage, plus 8 bonus from slightly, we get slightly more scaling because it does slightly more damage. So there's that, and then what we actually want to have is we'll be working towards this Firehander, which will need 24 strength and 10 dexterity to wield properly. And when we are able to do that, we'll do a lot more damage. At the moment it says it's 130 damage minus 105, so that's 130 damage flat, but we get a parameter penalty for that because we can't hold it properly, so we'll lose 105 of that 130 damage, whereas this battle axe, if we put it on, will give us 95, with 8 of those being from the thing. If I'm wrong about that, feel free to correct me in the comments. It might be 95 and then 8 more. Let's have a look at it. See how it swings. It's a little slower. We've got a little bit of stagger from not hitting anything, and we've got a more vertical strike there, which is handy to have. So let's have the battle axe for the time being. Let's get this. Oh, one shot of the rat. Nice. Okay. Maybe we'll use this for a shot. So we're coming up here as we were instructed to by the crestfallen guy. Through the waterway and up into the undead berg. And we'll probably call it a day on that one for now, since we've done all of that in Firelink Shrine. Next time we're going to tackle the Undead Berg and get into the Undead Parish. We'll go through our first boss in real life, and that'll be a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.